It's the old weeb, and time and again talk about a video that I guess was recorded in the last video. And it's about how, if you've been on my channel long enough, you might have noticed that I made a video about how Ichigo was the fraud MC. That he did not deserve the accolades and the praise that he gets in the anime community. But there's a reason why I call him the fraud MC, is because he's not the real MC of Bleach. It's the man we're talking about today, who is a bigger fraud than Ichigo Kurosaki. It's Sosuke Aizen of Bleach. Let's get started. Now you might be wondering, how the hell is Sosuke Aizen a fraud? He's like the smartest villain out of the big three. He's probably, people would say, is the best villain out of the big three. And I would call massive cap. So let's start with this. Sosuke Aizen's entire shtick is that he planned everything. He always has a plan. He never is caught off guard, and he's always prepared for any situation because, as he said, he planned that. I'm calling cap because he doesn't plan his things to the degree of being I'm ahead of everyone's game, is that I handicap everyone I'm going against. He straight up plays bully ball with people because let's look at this. His main ability and the only thing we ever care about is not his Hado or his Kido, it is his sword.
Kyoka Suigetsu.
Who says that when I activate this ability, I control all 5 of your senses, and you don't know when I turn it off or turn it on, and the only way to turn it off or negate the ability is you have to grab my sword when I use it. If he flat out has control of how you see things, when are you going to find the sword in the first place? That's never going to be the real sword. And on top of that, because he can activate his ability without showing the activation, as we've seen in the show, it's been like 2, maybe 3 times we actually see him actually activated on screen or on the page, which means throughout the entirety of the series, he is constantly playing a game of magical hats that no one knows that we're playing. My god, he is an overrated Uchiha. He just has Genjutsu. All he does is put people in the illusion of choice, and that is probably which allows him to just get away with all his shenanigans. I mean, the smartest person in Bleach is not Sosuke Aizen. It is Kisuke Urahara. He is actually the smartest person. In fact, he's so smart that in order to make Aizen look better, he straight up left the Soul Society. Without him being there, no one's there to check him. You could argue my Yuri's also smart, but he's more of a mad scientist than a genius in the way that Aizen goes around his scheming. So yes, he's not the smartest person in the show. He's just handicapping every single person he runs into and makes them feel stupid because they didn't know that they were under an illusion. Second reason for why this man's a fraud is his level of hubris knows no bound. I want you to think about the fact that he basically stopped fighting for 2.5 arcs, if you count Hueco Mundo and the fake Karakura town as 2 different arcs, but if it's all one arc, he basically did not fight until the last 20-30 episodes of that arc, and in that time, all he did was front run, because he knew that he was, quote, better than everyone else to be fighting, but he really wasn't. They were still all under the effect of Kyoka Suigetsu. So is he really that strong, or do people not know how to block something that they can't see coming? There's one thing I will give him credit for. He did straight up say "Noi" to Soifon. Straight up, you can't auto kill me, which is fair. That's kind of what we're supposed to be able to do in Bleach, is that, hey, your ability doesn't work because I'm stronger than you. That's the foundation that I hope makes sense. It's not like it changes throughout the series for the convenience of the plot, and that allows the main character who should never have be a chance in a fight with someone who's like uber powerful, who's over the Soul King, and be able to actually just be able to beat him. Oh, wait, he couldn't beat him. The plot's not that powerful. But anyway, Aizen decides to get off his, high horse throne in the end of this arc when everyone decides to 1v10 to him. I might be getting the numbers wrong, doing this off memory, but when I remember watching this fight, it's like, okay, they're trying to tag team him. Shinji uses Inverted World, his, Shikai. The advisors pull out their masks. You've got Captain Toshiro. You got them all trying to tag team and one-shot this man. Let's go back to the fraud MC, Mr. Strawberry Ichigo Kurosaki, who's just over there watching this entire time while this is going on. And, you know, he's one of the people the plot protects the most because he, according to Aizen, was never put under Kyoka Suigetsu. So that means through this entire jump session, Momo, who's actually one getting assaulted right now, is just blindly looking at Ichigo like, help me, and decides to just stand there and do nothing. Well, we don't know where the real Aizen is during this time because it was all part of the plan, as he put it. And then after the events transpire with that, he then proceeds to wipe them all out, tell Ichigo that I'm bored here, I'm gonna go to your home turf and go kill your friends for the fun of it. But while evolving, and this is where one of my biggest pet peeves of this show comes into play, is that they have spent, at this point, we're over 150 episodes in, maybe close to 200 at this point, about how spiritual pressure works against people who are weak, and how you can basically just bully them out the way, kind of like Conqueror's Hockey in One Piece. So how in the world did Aizen, in his evolved state, walking through Karakura town, run into Ichigo's friends and it didn't auto-explode? Not only did they not auto-explode, but one of them could sense his presence, kind of almost see where he is, and was still able to move through his pressure. Now, I kid you not, since the Kenpachi fight with Ichigo, we've understood how this works. Heck, even Ichigo appearing at the execution, the entire Soul Society could feel his existence as far as his flexing of spiritual power. And they're all on a higher level than any human in the human world. And yet, Aizen, just with the strongest person at the time of Bleach, couldn't just wipe out a human by existing. Now, let's go to the part where he runs into evolved Ichigo, otherwise known as Dangai Ichigo, and he decided, you know, he's missing something. Like, I don't sense his spiritual power. Could it be that he somehow evolved higher than me? Nah, that can't be it. In fact, you just gave it up. And, you know, to be fair, I can see why Aizen's confused. It's very confusing how powers work in Bleach from time to time. The plot convenience is at the all-time high. But my thing is, once Ichigo put his hand on your face and sent you to a new biome, like this is Dragon Ball Z, I don't know why you didn't lock in there and be like, you know what? Time to use my one trick that has carried me this far. It's like a Steph Curry 3. You gotta use that thing every single time you're down in order to get out of a bad situation. And then through the course of that fight, when he started to slowly realize that Ichigo was like that, he's fused to his sword. And he didn't once think, I could just activate it. And I want you to keep in mind that people will say, no, he couldn't activate it because it's frozen. No. That sword is still fused to him going into 1,000-Year Blood War arc. And wow, in the chair, meeting Yhwach, Yhwach, however you want to pronounce Mr. Member of the Party of White and Crosses, that he was able to affect him through the Almighty. We're going to get into that last part, but in that case, didn't want to use it against Dangai Ichigo, who was whooping his ass for at least 10 minutes straight. This fraud of a villain, when he was defeated, and not by Ichigo alone, mind you, it took Kisuke, because Ichigo can't get the job done by himself. Damn! We go into 1,000-Year Blood War arc, where he becomes the trump card in the situation where, in order to beat Yhwach, they need Aizen out the chair, and Aizen to be on the side of good despite trying to overtake the Soul King.
Just remember, don't underestimate me.
In that situation, we learn at the last possible minute that he was under the effects of Kyoka Suigetsu to the point that the Almighty, which states that it can see all of timelines and then predict the future and choose the future that he wants to occur, and he says he can see all of the timeline, didn't think to look into the past to undo the Kyoka Suigetsu? Because keep in mind, he mentioned it. He said it when he left the Soul Society that he didn't recognize a passage of time due to the effects of Kyoka Suigetsu. So how the hell did he not think to get rid of that off of him if the Almighty's that strong? Y'all watch is a whole different kind of section, but that's my point. Aizen didn't really beat him, because again, Ichigo had to be there. No one actually solos in this show. But in order to win, they had to cheese it with Mr. Kyoka Suigetsu. No one knows the game we're playing. No one knows what's actually going on. He's not the smartest man in the room. He's the fakest man in the room. He is Sosuke Aizen, the fraud villain, who's the real MC of this goddamn show. So anyway, guys, this is going to be the old weeb logging off for today. If there's any other characters from the big three or anime you want me to really go in on because they have some questionable and fraudulent activities, let me know in the comment section. GG's.